It's Tuesday, Sooner Nation, and we have got a mega episode here with a lot to unpack. Basketball, football, basketball. We're going to talk about a lot of it. College football playoff rankings, SEC power rankings, Oklahoma getting dismantled because they can't play defense on the hard court, and the Thunder just demolishing teams in the first quarter. So we're going to go everywhere here in this episode of the Sooner Nation podcast. I know a lot of people tune in because it's football season and it is that crucial time of the year. We're going to start and end with football. So if you want the football content only, start here, skip the middle, go to the end, and you're going to get it. But we have to talk basketball. We spent the Sunday podcast just talking football and deservedly so after the win in Tuscaloosa. But we have to get into some basketball talk. Let's start with the SEC power rankings. We're looking into week 13, and the conference is taking shape. And I've got to be honest with you, I absolutely love where Oklahoma is. I was wrong about this conference, though. And mostly because I was wrong about the Sooners. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start at the bottom, like we typically do. We're gonna work our way up to number one, and things are messy. Things are messy down at the bottom. But let's start with obviously number 16, Arkansas. They're still there. It's the same story. It's the same movie. It's the same frustrating ending. You know, for the Razorbacks, it's close but not close enough. They fall by 1 point to LSU. And it just feels like the fourth or the fifth time this year where they've had a chance late and they couldn't finish. Effort, it's elite. It really is. Their fight, it is there. It's elite. Execution in the final 3 minutes, though, it's not elite. It's not. And that's why that's why they are at the bottom of the SEC. And until that changes, they're going to stay in the basement, and they're running out of opportunity to change that. Speaking of teams who could have changed their narrative, we've got South Carolina at number 15. Yeah, they put a scare into Texas A&M, 2-point conversion away from absolute chaos in this conference. But again, almost doesn't move you up in the SEC power rankings. The Gamecocks, yeah, they're competitive, but the resume, it's thin. It's so thin, and the consistency is just not there. And at some point, moral victories dry up. So South Carolina, number 15 for me again this week. Number 14, I got the Florida Gators. The truth be told, they're lucky they're not lower. It's just South Carolina and Arkansas are just that bad. But the Gators, give them some credit. They hung with Ole Miss for a while, but they're still clearly outmatched. They don't have the depth. They don't have consistency amongst their front seven. And they don't have explosive playmakers to rise out of the bottom tier of this conference. They're not dysfunctional, but they're also not dangerous. Auburn, number 13, they were idle last week. That, no movement for being idle. Nothing changes, good or bad. But this is a team that has been inconsistent all year, struggling to find rhythm on offense, trying to find their identity on defense. I don't know that a bye week is going to fix that, because the last time we saw them on the field, the defense just kind of gave you that appearance as if they're tired of carrying the team. Number 12, Mississippi State Bulldogs. Again, they just got handled. This time it was Missouri. They were outplayed in every phase of the game. Talking about defense just giving up. The defense couldn't get Mississippi State off the field, and the offense couldn't keep the defense off the field either. They couldn't. The Bulldogs couldn't respond offensively. This whole performance felt like a team that's still trying to figure out who it wants to be. And when you're in week 12 of the college football season, that's absolutely not where you want to be. Bad weekend last week for Jeff Lebby and the Bulldogs. Nearing the top 10, first team out of the top 10, I've got LSU. They escaped Arkansas by 1 point, and I really mean they escaped. This team, they play down to opponents, and not like in a way where you're like, they'll figure it out. No, it's become their identity. They're not as explosive as we thought they were going to be on the offensive side of the ball. They aren't consistent on defense, and right now they're a mid lower tier SEC team. I'm not moving them. I'm pretty sure I had them at number 11 last week. No rise and no fall. This is a team that's got 2 weeks left to figure it out. And again, just going to say it as an Oklahoma fan, I'm scared. I'm scared of them figuring it out in the final week of the college football season. The other version of the Tigers that Oklahoma plays, starting the top 10, I've got Missouri at number 10. I'm moving them in there, and I think it's for a good reason. 49-27 domination of Mississippi State. It shows that they're trending up. They played disciplined. They looked sharp. They were balanced. They were everything that Mississippi State was not. And now this is not a team that is elite, so don't get me wrong. It's not an elite team, but they are reliable, and that gets you into the top 10 of the power rankings this week in the SEC. Number 9, I've still got Kentucky here. They made the big move last week. I know I took a little bit of heat from it, but I'm keeping them there until they give me a reason not to. Beating Tennessee Tech is not going to send shockwaves through anybody in the world of college football. But you know what? You handle the games you're supposed to handle, and that's exactly what they did. Yes, they beat a lesser opponent, and they did so comfortably. They didn't mess around, and they confirmed who they are. This is a solid, steady, mid-tier SEC program that's figuring things out late in the season and has a chance to salvage a bowl game this season, which 4 weeks ago we weren't thinking that for the Kentucky Wildcats. Number 8, speaking of teams that beat up on little guys, give me number 8, the Tennessee Volunteers. They did what Tennessee should have done. They blew out New Mexico. So we had them at number 8 last week. We're keeping them at number 8 this week. They don't have that signature SEC win to justify climbing higher, but they also really haven't stumbled to justify following deeper. They're holding steady. 2 weeks left to change their story. Number 7, Vanderbilt Commodores. Vandy remains, to me at least, one of the surprises of the season. Now, they were idle last weekend, but their resume stands on its own. They have competed at a high level, they've been consistent, and they've earned the right to sit in the upper middle tier of this conference. Again, no movement here because of the bye week, but I like where they are, and they should be happy about that as well. Here's a team that dropped. I've got Texas dropping down to number 6, and let me just be blunt about this. Georgia exposed the Longhorns. Texas got pushed around at the line of scrimmage. The run game just evaporated. The offense never looked comfortable. Now, they've got talent. They've always got talent. But right now, they're not on the same tier as the league's playoff level teams. Not after that performance. And I know that's going to make Texas fans angry, but look at the record, okay? Just look at your record, sitting at 3 losses. Sorry, right now you're on the outside looking in, not a top 5 program. Another team that drops, the Alabama Crimson Tide, sliding them down to number 5. And yeah, it feels weird to say that Alabama is 5th because this is a team that last month I was telling everybody had it all together, was going to make a run. I had them even at times as the best team in the conference. That's where I was with them. But you lose at home for the first time in 17 games. That is significant. Oklahoma forced turnovers. Oklahoma controlled momentum. Oklahoma dictated tempo. And Alabama never found a way to counterpunch. So I do believe the Tide's still very much in control of their own destiny. I don't think they're out of the college football playoff conversation, but I do think right now they're out of the top 4 conversation in terms of the SEC. New to number 4 this week, I've got the Oklahoma Sooners. And listen, like last week's win, that was a program-defining win for Brent Venables. They walk into Bryant-Denny, they force 3 turnovers, they turn those turnovers into 17 points, and it shuts down Alabama, just completely stonewalled them on their final 4 drives of the game. That's not just a good win, that's an SEC statement win. And here's why. Here's why I got Oklahoma at number 4 and not number 3. It's because they lost to Ole Miss. You know, when you look at the ceiling, I think OU has the highest ceiling out of any team outside the top 2. I'm meaning between Oklahoma and Ole Miss, I guess, really. But Oklahoma, they lost to Ole Miss. And Ole Miss has been steady week to week. They've been consistent, and consistent matters late in November. Oklahoma is surging. They are absolutely surging. But Ole Miss, they've earned their spot at number 3. That said, Oklahoma controls its destiny. We're going to talk more about the Sooners at the bottom of this podcast, but they're firmly in the playoff race, and they officially belong in this top tier of teams in the conference. I already said a lot about Ole Miss at number 3. They deserve this spot. The Rebels continue to play disciplined, physical, mistake-free football. Now, they don't always blow teams out, but they rarely beat themselves. A 10-point win over Florida, it's not groundbreaking, but when you saw Texas get flattened and Alabama lose, Ole Miss is going to rise, and they're going to earn their spot here at number 3. This is probably the most complete Ole Miss team that we've seen in years, definitely since Lane Kiffin got to town. They're efficient offensively. They're opportunistic on the defensive side of the ball. They show poise. They're steady. They're consistent. That's why I've got them at number 3. We're keeping Georgia at number 2, but let me tell you something. Georgia is coming. That win over Texas looked like vintage Georgia. You got the smothering defense, you got the balanced offense, and a level of physicality that reminds everyone why this program has 2 national championships in recent memory. Georgia they are very well positioned to overtake Texas A&M. They look like they're on a collision course with the Aggies for a shot in Atlanta, but you got to keep them at number 2 right now, because at number 1, Texas A&M has absolutely earned every bit of where they are. Yep, it was a narrow win over South Carolina, but guess what? Championship teams survive. Championship teams win when the pressure is on. They handle it and they finish. And Texas A&M checks every box right now. They're balanced offensively. They're physical on defense. They've got veteran maturity. They show big-time poise either at home or on the road. And I don't know that you can point out very many weak spots with this resume. They're not just the number 1 team in the SEC. They may be legitimately the best team in the country. So there we have it. That's the SEC power rankings heading into week 13. Kind of a wild shakeup at the top. You got chaos going on in the middle. You got a predictability there at the bottom. But here's the truth. This conference is separating, all right? You're seeing the contenders emerge. You're seeing the pretenders fall off. And as we head in here in the final 2-week stretch, it's very, very clear. This conference is got elite teams playing elite football. You could say they're playing chess where everyone else is playing checkers. I don't know. But I really do. I think the SEC is on pace to get 5 teams at minimum in the college football playoff. We'll see how the final 2 weeks of the season shape out. This is the Sooner Nation Podcast.